Am I ever gonna learn? Probably not. I feel like I've done this before. What is going on, guys, and welcome to the vlog. You would think that by now I would learn to raise my car up and not have these issues with my exhaust hitting the ground anymore. No, that is not true. I love being a low boy, and I love driving low, and I love looking cool when I'm driving. Even though that's a controversial opinion, it's whatever, I like it, so I'm gonna keep doing it. As you guys know, I live in Massachusetts, and Massachusetts has some of the worst roads in the Northeast. And some of you guys may say, well, my state has the worst roads ever. Well, every state in the US has the worst roads ever. It's just the way the US is. I was driving a couple weeks ago at night on my way home from my friend's shop, and there was road work on one of the main roads that I take normally to get home. And this is no new news to me. There's road work on every single road in Massachusetts, and I see it every day. But I never saw this, and I was driving, I was like, oh, whatever, it's probably just a bump here and there. No, it was raised manholes, and they were one in every single lane, and I saw one coming in my lane, so I swerved to the next lane, obviously used my blinker, swerved to the next lane, and there was also one in the exact same spot in the next lane, and I duffed the crap out of it. Thankfully, I didn't break my oil pan or crack my transmission or anything like that, but I did hit my downpipe hard enough to where it completely cracked off from my cat, and now the downpipe and the cat are completely separated and are just leaking profusely, terribly. And I got a car show coming up this weekend that hopefully both of these cars are going to be at, the Coupe and the Del Sol, and I don't want them to sound like doo-doo when I'm rolling into the car show, because nothing is worse than sounding broken down when you're trying to show off your car. So I have some new parts to put on the Coupe today. I have had them for a while, just laying around. Never really got around to putting them on. Wasn't even sure if I was gonna put them on, because it was just kind of like one of those controversial items where some people say it makes things sound better, some people say it makes things sound worse, but at this point, anything will sound better than what I have on this car right now. So I'm gonna go get the stuff and we can take a look at it. All right, so as you guys can see, there is a DNA motoring badge on the outside of this box. Let's dive into this. I have these same things on the Del Sol. I have the same set of headers, and I have the same downpipe. Now, these are eBay products. You know, if I'm going to be putting a product on my car that I'm going to scrape to nothing, I'd rather it be an eBay product and have it be cheap than something expensive and then I break it. So I'm going to be installing these today. This has 2 O2 sensor holes and my car only has one, so I'm going to tighten this down and keep this from leaking. And it comes with all of the gaskets just like this and all of the hardware, so it should be a pretty fairly simple install, especially since the downpipe is completely broken off. After I undo the header bolts and the O2 sensor, the entire setup's just going to come right out. So hopefully this doesn't take too long. I really am trying to get this done before the rain starts up again. If you guys can't already tell, this is a new camera that I'm vlogging with. That is the Sony HX80. It's a smaller camera. It's so much more versatile for what I need it to be. I tried vlogging with Rudnick's RX100 that he gave me, but the audio, as you guys saw in those past couple of videos, wasn't the best, so I ditched that camera. I'm gonna give that back to him. Pick this camera up, which is pretty much the same thing. It just has a little bit of a smaller sensor in it, so the quality at night is not as good, but the autofocus is quick. The battery life is awesome, and I think it's going to be a great addition to the channel. It's going to help me so that I can film while I'm filming, if that makes sense, because I have my A7S II I normally film with, but when I'm filming videos of people's cars, I can't vlog and film at the same time. So this is where this camera will help out. I can keep it in my pocket. It'll be nice and quick. So enough chat. I'm going to go down to the car and pop the hood and show you guys what we're working with. Alright, so this thing definitely needs a cleaning. I haven't opened this thing in a while. Clearly there is just a layer of pollen on absolutely everything, so this thing is going to need to get cleaned again soon, but Thankfully, it's a stock motor. Everything's stock, so I'm not really going to be showing this off at the show, so this can just stay shut. But in order to get started on this, we need to take this heat shield off the car, which seems to be just 4 bolts, and I can see the O2 sensor down there, so hopefully these bolts don't snap, and if they do, oh well. I'm gonna be replacing this whole header. The only thing I'm worried about is snapping the bolts that go into the head, because that would be a bad thing, and I just pray that that doesn't happen, but I don't think it's gonna happen. This car's fairly new for its mileage and things like that. It was very well maintained from the previous owner, so fingers crossed. I'm gonna go get the tools and we can start taking this manifold off and the heat shield and all that. Hopefully things just go to plan. A lot of people were also wondering about that temporary paint fix that I did in that cleaning video where I painted black over the rusted spots and stuff. Obviously that was just a temporary fix. A lot of you guys started getting a little butthurt over it, but all these spots here have held up fine. I drive this car every day, sometimes hundreds of miles. This spot here's got a little bit of rust on it, but I wasn't expecting it to stay rust free forever. This spot, a little tiny bit here, but for the most part, all the black stuff held up. The side of this is nice and clean still, so I do want to also tuck this subwoofer wire at some point because it just kind of looks ugly. But enough talk, let's go get the tools and start working on this thing because it sounds like shit. All right, so I guess the first thing on the to-do list today is to get these rusty bolts kind of loose. So I'm gonna hit them with some WD-40 and hope that helps penetrate it a little bit. Maybe not, who knows. If it doesn't, they're just gonna end up snapping off anyways, so that's okay for me. This heat shield is kind of gone anyways, so let that sit for a little bit and then we can break these loose. I think that they're a bunch of 10 mils, so that should be easy. Alright, that should be it for the heat shield cover. I'm just gonna pop this out so that I can take it out properly. Set this on the side, and the heat shield comes out. If anyone wants this, 500 bucks or best offer. Alright, so here is the OEM or stock exhaust manifold. Nothing pretty, nothing to see here, but hoping that all of these bolts come out okay and that none of them strip or crack or anything like that. The main thing I'm worried about is taking the O2 sensor out right here because sometimes those get really seized up in there, and I just really don't feel like spending, however, I think they're like $130 for like a new O2 sensor. Don't quote me on that, but like I'm pretty sure that's how expensive they are. I don't feel like paying that right now, so hopefully it just comes off easily. I'm gonna hit it with some WD-40 and get an adjustable and just hope that it cracks loose, and if it does, hoorah, but if it doesn't and something happens, then well, rip me. Alright, so header's fully disconnected. All these bolts came out no issue, with only one where it actually took the threads with it, but that's okay. We can put this in a vise and we can pull this off and put this back into the block, so that's okay. Got the O2 sensor unplugged. Whole thing won't come out because of the rubber hangers that are under the car, so now it's unfortunately the time to start the game of jacking this car up and getting it onto wood and that whole dance. So I'm gonna do that real quick. I won't film any of that because it's just some tedious crap, and then once I get this thing in the air we can continue with this video. Let's do it. Alright, so I got the entire thing up into the air. All of this is looking good from up here, so I'm gonna go down under here and inspect the damage. You guys can't, oh, you guys kind of can see it from there. Hold on. If you look right here, you see right here, hold on, where's my finger? You see right there, that is where it's separated. Once I get under here and I take off all the bolts and nuts that need to come off, maybe some rubber hangers or something, this whole piece will just drop right out, and then we can assess the damage. I have to take the old flange off that's still attached to the cat that belonged to this downpipe. Hopefully that's not much of an issue. This cat is kind of old and it gave me issues with my previous exhaust install, but hopefully it doesn't give me any issues this time, because if it does, then well, I'm kind of screwed. So let's hope for the best and start taking all this stuff off. That right there is a completely snapped off downpipe. Oh man, I thought I was done for a second. Every single angle was starting to strip. I was getting worried, but good old hammer cracks it loose. I also want to take this time to say, smash that like button. I really appreciate it. Comment, you know, feedback, all that good stuff. And if you love me a little bit more than that, link in the description for some stickers and some merch and stuff. It all helps me. It goes towards my gear. It goes towards my the import, especially the import. We're already about a little over a third of the way there, I think. All thanks to you guys. So super, super helpful. You guys rock. Whew. So far so good. No hiccups yet. Alright, so now that you have your header and downpipe put together, right here where the header and downpipe meet is kind of funky. I've never really seen another exhaust do this, but they have these two welded cylinders on both sides, and what you do is it comes with these bolts. You take the nut off and it goes in through the top just like this, and then you take the nut and you put it on the bottom and you tighten it down, and that is how you keep this flange tight. So I'm gonna do that on both sides. It's a little wonky, but the Del Sol has the same exact exhaust on it and it has no issues, so I'm gonna do that real quick. And I'm sweating beyond belief. I always do when I'm working on cars in the summer, but I'm just excited for this thing not to sound like shit. So let's just get this thing bolted up and we can go back into the car. Damn it, I still have to take the broken flange off of the Cat, so that's one thing I'm not looking forward to. I hope that that does not snap, but only one way to find out. Alright, so as you can see right here, I got the donut gasket put onto the end of this, and this should just bolt up perfectly fine to the Cat down under the car. And the O2 sensor's put on, as you can see, dangling, and this is all tight. So all I'm gonna do is just drop this down into here. Hope that I can, I might actually have to do this from the bottom up, just remembered. So let's do that. All right, so all of the exhaust nuts and everything are put back on. I'm gonna leave them loose right now. That way when I go and fit up the downpipe to the Cat, I have some room to wiggle it around and make sure that it is proper. Now, the downpipe comes with new hardware, and you can use this right here, which you can use, or if these are still intact, since they have the springs, you can use these, or you can just use the springs, which I think I'm going to do just because these are a little gross and outdated. So I'm going to put the springs onto these, and I have a new set of bolts. So I'm gonna go under the car, throw the bolts in. I think I'll actually bring the camera for that just because it's nice and tiny now, so I can stick it down in places where it should be. Haha, good joke. Let's do it. You guys see that? There's a gap, and the bolts are out of thread. So we have ran into our first issue. Up top is completely tight, where the header meets the downpipe is tight, and the O2 sensor's plugged in and also tight. The issue that I'm having is I can't get the downpipe tight enough to the Cat, which is an issue. It would obviously just leak again. So I think I'm gonna have to take one of the bolts off and go to the hardware store and find one that's longer with more thread, and come back and just join the two. The cool thing about this though is the fact that I'm making this so tight is actually going to be pulling the downpipe up from the ground, and that's one of the downsides with one of these DNA motoring kits is the downpipe sits a little lower than you'd want it if you're a low car. So the fact that I'm going to be getting longer bolts and making this super tight is a good thing, because it's already pulled the downpipe up super high. So if I go and get some more bolts that are longer, hopefully it just pulls the thing all the way up and tucks it way up inside, and I don't even hit this thing anymore. That would be super awesome. but it's the only thing I've ran into so far. I'm gonna go run and grab some bolts, and I will be back, and hopefully this thing actually works properly, because I really need this to work, because if it doesn't work, then this car is going to be open downpipe, which would absolutely suck, and I don't want that. So let's go get some bolts. All right, guys, so after a lot of finagling with the exhaust, because apparently you can't really use the stock catalytic converter with this header and downpipe combination, I made it work. And I went to AutoZone and got some bolts. The main reason why the bolts weren't working that came with the kit was because the threads didn't go all the way to the end. So when I bottomed out on the threads, there was still a decent amount of gap in between the downpipe and the cat, so that would have obviously leaked. So I got bolts that had threads that went all the way to the end, and I also picked up some exhaust RTV and caked that on top of the donut gasket a little bit, just to further make sure that the seal is tight. And it's raining right now, but the car is all set down there. Got the bolts on, got the RTV on the gasket, got everything tightened up, torqued to spec. The headers are all torqued, everything's torqued down. Right now I'm waiting an hour for the RTV to cure, and then I'm gonna go under the car again and tighten it down just a tiny bit more, just to torque it down. And then after that, we're officially done, and I will show you guys the sound and also what it looks like in the engine bay for the final time. I think it cleaned it up a really good amount, and I also have something really cool coming tomorrow that I think you guys will enjoy. And I've been wanting to do it for a while, but we just have been working back and forth with schedules and stuff like that. But tomorrow it finally works out. So I'll see you guys in an hour when this is fully cured and we can start the car up and see how it sounds. All right, guys, here it is. The new DNA motoring headers and downpipe fully installed, all torqued down. I know this engine bay looks disgusting right now from all of this pollen, but I got something very cool coming for this tomorrow that you guys should be looking forward to. I know I've been looking forward to it for a while, but I have not been able to get the chance to do it. But exhaust is all done, everything's torqued down. I'm going to start it up while it's still in the air, just in case something happens and I need to get under the car again and torque something down more, or all those things. So I'm gonna sit you guys down for a little bit, and we can do a little before and after, because I know it sounded like absolute dog shit when I first pulled it in today. So hopefully it sounds good. I think it sounds a lot better than when I first pulled it in here. Obviously, it's gonna smoke a little bit from here because of the new gaskets and all that, but I'm gonna let it run for a little bit and just to let everything kind of set. But I don't hear any exhaust leaks, which is a plus. Point of the story is that it sounds good. It sounds a lot better than when I first did it. So I'm gonna let this warm up a little bit and then get this thing off the ground and we'll be all set. The positive is most of the sound is actually coming out of the back now instead of the front. So that is main goal achieved. It's very quiet. It changed like little to nothing about the tone of the exhaust at all, which I think is a win, because I'm trying to keep this car quiet. You guys probably can't even hear anything. It's so quiet. Let's see if we can hear it from the outside of the car. It's very, very moderate. It's like super quiet, and that's exactly how I like it. I don't want it to be too obnoxious. You know how Hondas get when they get really obnoxious. They don't sound good at all. I don't care if you think it sounds good. In my opinion, it's just not good at all. Like the Del Sol used to be. That was terrible. Now it's a lot better. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm definitely stoked that this thing does not sound like a piece of crap anymore. It was just one of those things that sucks to do, but the fact that I got to put new shiny parts on makes it fun, you know? So, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit the little bell notification so you guys can see my videos more often. And I got some really cool stuff coming for this. I know we've been putting off the manual swap ever since we got the sedan. It's a big project compared to all the little stuff that I've been doing, and every weekend when I go to the shop, I have other stuff that I have to do, and we will be getting into it very soon. I can guarantee that, and I apologize for it taking so long, but right now I need this car to drive everywhere like a daily needs to be, so the fact that it sounds a lot better really pleases me. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.